In the summer of 2013, I was only trying for Maryland government jobs. There were two interviews that were pulled back. Both magically. Not that the vacancy was filled, but they claimed that the vacancies themselves, just to start off with, existed by error. I tested using a different name. I was calling for, by using that different name, I was called for an interview, and there was no pullback on the interview. So these are progressively worsening injuries, and I mentioned these things started as a trickle. I could have worked, but then I would have gotten more sick and would not have been able to work beyond a few months. However, I would have gained standard health insurance and private temporary disability. Both these things would have helped me find out what is going on with my health. But these criminals blocked my work route as well to make sure that they can get me where they can control. So on December 2013, I was getting closer to the truth. I went to the doctor's office to collect records. Charlene Seegers, a clerical employee, was about to print and give me the records, but she found a large statement on the front page. She had a look of shock and was gasping and had to read repeatedly to try to understand. It's clear they had written that I had engaged in some strange sex practice and gotten injured. Then, to keep me from finding out, the perps who were not in the office sent 3 Fairfax County police officers and an Innova executive to disrupt my lawful activities. This included threatening arrest, and they could cite no cause. They said that they had a right to arrive and appear. They said that they were there for something in the back. What they were doing is holding back several pages of medical records, so they had to white out the page numbers. The clerical employees would not participate, so the police officers did the crime. The police were confounded by the proper way to use whiteout. They didn't know that you have to run it through the copier. Manger, now he is the former police chief of Fairfax County. Now, in late 2014, Obamacare came along, and although I never signed up for Medicaid, now, letting people know Medicaid and Medicare are kind of different, two different things. Okay, Medicaid is completely free for the poor. Okay, so Maryland is very aggressive about forcing people into Medicaid. This includes punishing doctors who give care to patients eligible for Medicaid. Instead of fee-for-service reimbursements, the state gives the medical care itself, using its contractor MedStar. MedStar has assembled a group of lowly, unscrupulous doctors who give so-called medical care to Medicaid patients. There were so many assigned to my care at different times. Anjana Dar, Jeffrey Dormu, Arul Rao, Anthony McCarthy, Lawrence Wicker, Asmir Saeed or Asmiri Saeed, Luke Oke, Ru Lu. With 100 or more encounters with these physicians and others from DHMH, Medicaid, there was a whole lot of playing games, refusing to release hard test results, never ordering even the basic blood test that cost less than $50, summed up as deliberately giving poor care. These government programs are there to steal money from the taxpayers. At veterans, they give no care to cancer patients, let them die, and then pocket the money as bonuses. Senator John McCain rightly made a request to Senator Benjamin Cardin's office to have the problems resolved by DHMH. With this agency and other parts of Maryland government so immersed in the crime, for 40 days no response. Then on August 8, 2016, the same day that I filed in federal court in an existing case that I would need to sue Governor Hogan, the head of DHMH, Secretary Van Mitchell, backdated a reply by 1 week and couriered it to Senator Cardin's office. The reply was packed with lies. There were such absurdities as within the same paragraph stating that I made no complaints and also stating that multiple investigations were done and the allegations found unsubstantiated. Less than 48 hours later, the apparent nervous Mitchell caused a motor vehicle accident in which one person was injured. Maryland unofficially has two capitals. Mitchell works in Baltimore, but the accident occurred after normal business hours and 30 miles away in Annapolis, blocks from the offices of the governor and his staff. February 2015, I lawfully made audio recordings and posted them on YouTube of the Medicaid program and his doctors giving the runaround. In an effort to shut all this down for good, Chief Manger produced arrest and search warrant applications with falsehoods. First thing in the morning, these applications were taken to a state court judge. Manger did not want to waste a single second. Simultaneously, he placed two police officers in front of my house. These officers were not from the district station. They had driven 20 miles from police headquarters in rush hour. They sat idling for a full hour, awaiting the ruling, wasting even more public resources. Even with all the falsehoods, the judge found in my favor. The pervert Manger knew about the severe heart injuries, such as the heart rate failing, such as the heart rate falling instead of rising with exertion. And the New York chokehold case was fresh in the news. This pervert Manger was also trying to finish his murderous intent. Now, ongoing, I sought help from the federal court. Judge Theodore Chuang was completely on my side, but because of his poor character being someone who should have been in prison and not promoted to being a judge, he colluded. This is Benghazi Ted after all. Although Chuang lies and says he's only the after the fact lawyer, it looks like not sending help, letting people die, and then having a free hand to write whatever you desire is something he does with great regularity. Even more important is another issue that was overlooked, where his misconduct went against his supporters, a betrayal. That is linked to my case. It is not only that this character trait causing misconduct in my case, but there is even a tangible link between the two issues. Chuang, while heading a House committee investigation into Iraq war contractors, was at the same time, through the HK law firm of Fairfax County, Virginia, working on the legal defense team of the same persons he was investigating. One of the perps in my case is William Carey, the managing principal of BK Law, another Fairfax County firm. This firm handles Innova's work. Perhaps the firm found out what Mr. Carey did. He's been demoted to the bottom. It appears that Carey seized upon Chuang's background and got Chuang to do the betrayal in my case. Then another career criminal was installed as a then another career criminal was installed as a federal judge, Paula Zinnes, who took over the case from Chuang. Her history as a lawyer was to collude with prosecutors in criminal cases to get her clients off. In civil cases, she colluded with judges to fabricate cases against police officers and do shakedowns. She has allowed her friends to proceed with a $1 million suit against Officer Anthony Pirelli of the U.S. Park Police, for which every single element is fabricated. November 2015, with his official order, Chuang said that MedStar has nothing to do with the case and ordered that MedStar could not be added in any form, including as an intervener. The scheme was that by MedStar not being brought into the case, I would get sicker and die, since it was MedStar's obligation to keep me healthy. Additionally, the law for these Medicaid contractors include codified protections and rights for the enrollee. One of these rights is to have the full facts. Keeping MedStar off the case would accomplish all the criminal ends. But at the same time, these people weren't satisfied with that alone. By secretly adding MedStar to the case, it would allow them to say that facts were evaluated and that they were vindicated when no such thing ever occurred. They ran the hoax, and DHMH had used the fruits of this hoax with the judges, and DHMH had used the fruits of this hoax, which they did with the judges, and they used the fruits in the letter to Senator Cardin's office. Zinnes here writes a full discussion about the facts. She had no business doing this, being that she said that it is not in her jurisdiction. This is where she wrote things like, Crusaia says it is accidental. This after I labeled the crime deliverance on the Potomac. Perhaps she is thinking about Gilligan's Island. She even challenged my credibility for one time, saying that it was MRI contrast agent that was sent into the brain, and now I'm saying it is water. But how absurd. This is like saying that if a victim who gets shot in the back doesn't know of all the specifics of the gun and the ammo, then the victim is a liar. All this was part of a bigger scheme. With the opinion published online, the perps, Maryland government is one of the perps, and DHMH and all their contractors, they manipulated Google search results so that when my name is searched, this bunch of lies is the first result. Other internet wrongs include spamming, which was already going on. The pervert CEO, the pervert Ken Samet, CEO, the pervert CEO Ken Samet of MedStar had hired Carol Attia, a real-life nurse ratchet straight out of a psych facility, a huge woman who gets the last name from marrying a psychiatrist, to be the MedStar executive to do the cover-ups in their hospitals and to crush the little nurses. The MedStar Medicaid operation has an outsourcing facility in Milwaukee. She got those employees to sign up my email and phone number and my family members' phone numbers for all sorts of spam and telemarketing. Attia did not know that the spams I was getting were things like jobs in Milwaukee and dating in Milwaukee. Those sites track the location of the device. They have even used specific types of spam, which mock me for the injuries that they themselves created, including disfigurement that they cause. So, which with sites like mature dating, because my body has aged a lot from these injuries, and then with things like dentures, because I lost a lot of teeth, and also for jobs, because I cannot work. Okay, so Samet and Attia, who are doing all this with Medicaid dollars, taxpayer money for the poor, spent a large sum to relocate their entire Medicaid office in Maryland, a couple of blocks away. So they spent the tax money to relocate their entire Medicaid office just to evade service of court papers. Several Maryland agencies made unlawful calls to me trying to find out info, and when caller ID didn't match who they said they were, there was replies such as the lines are crossed and we are working to fix that problem.